good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and I was always told how to voice the radio, and with the rotation pretty much upon us, it comes in officially on Friday, I thought it was time to take Granbull out for one last ride. Now, Granbull has been one of my favourite cards since it came out. It's exactly my kind of card. 1 energy, 160 damage, if you have 0 cards in your hand. Now, this was a deck which Jens making it, I want to say. Sorry for the pronunciation. When it got top 16 at the Limitless Qualifier number 1. And it is a Granbull deck. The entire point of the deck is to get 0 cards in your hand. We got Oranguru to put a card from your hand on top of your deck, emptying out your hand. I mean, you draw a card, but hopefully you get rid of a card you can't play and draw a card you can, and then you play it. We got Makago that lets you search for any card you like and put it on top of your deck. Great combo with Oranguru, because then you swap a card you don't need for a card that is literally the perfect card. Bearing in mind, of course, that you need to not... If you've got more than 1 energy or more than 1 supporter, etc., you cannot play them all. We then got a Ditto to evolve into either of our stage 1s and a Mew to protect our bench. Energy-wise, we're just going Fairy Energy, and Trainer-wise, it's a lot of what you would expect. We've got Marnie. We have got Diantha. If a fairy Pokemon was KO'd, you get to put 2 cards from your discard pile into your hand. Rosa. If any Pokemon was KO'd, search for a Pokemon Trainer and Basic Energy. Wondrous Labyrinth to increase the cost of our opponent's Pokemon attacking. Shrine of Punishment to put damage on GXs between turns. Fairy Charm Lightning to make us immune to Pikachu and Zekrom. Fairy Charm Ability to make us immune to Pokemon with abilities. There's a lot of cool stuff here. Oh, and 4 custom catch for our gusting, because, you know. The question is, can Granbull be any good? Well, I played a bunch of games to try and see if that was the case. So let's have a gander, shall we? Okay then, so let's have a bit of a play with Granbull, see what we can do. I've actually played a lot of Granbull. There was a time when it was a genuinely good borderline top tier deck, and I took it to a bunch of league challenges. I top 4'd, I don't think I ever won one, but I top 4'd a couple. I got a bunch of championship points with Granbull, so I do feel like I know what I'm doing on the deck, or maybe it'll turn out I'm just rusty, I don't know. So we did have to take a mulligan, and our opening hand is not all that. Oranguru we like, but not in the active. You'll notice from the deck profile we're not playing many switching cards. And my opponent started with a Duskull. Now this is a card that I particularly like. Okay, they're playing Mad Party. I considered playing Duskull in Granbull, because it just, I mean, you discard 3 cards from your hand and then search for a card that evolves from Duskull and evolve it up. But you don't actually have to do that. You can literally just discard 3 cards from your hand. So you can see my opponent here playing a couple of Evolution Incense, going for those Galarian Mr. Rime. I assume that's going to happen again. There we go. It's a deck that plays Poltergeist and Bunnelby that for 2 colorless energy does 20 damage for each Pokemon with Mad Party in your discard pile. So their job here is going to be to try and discard as many Pokemon with Mad Party as they possibly can, and roll from there. So there's an Evolution Incense for another Galarian Mr. Rime, and maybe they've got a Professor Sick, or Professor's Research as it is nowadays. Oh, there's one. Ha! Got it off the poker gear. They could have discarded them with Duskull, but I imagine unless they've got a hand for... Oh no, they are going to use Duskull. They might have something in their hand they're not willing to discard. A Poltergeist or a Special Energy or something like that. They do need to get a Sinistea down this turn though. Now, there's a Crobat to draw a couple of cards. There is the Sinistea, so they got that off the Crobat, which was nice. So clearly... Oh, that was their first turn going first. They're not allowed to play a supporter. How silly of me. So, my Great Ball doesn't get me very much, but I do have a Snubbull, which is nice. So, essentially, for me, it's just play Cynthia and see what I can do. So, there's nothing else useful, so there goes the Cynthia. And, alright, so we get another Snubbull. I get the energy, which is nice. I do get a Pokemon Communication that I can use to search out a Ditto or a Slugma. Not a Snubbull. Well, see, there we go. So there's a Slugma. And if I can get the Makago combo rolling, it's going to be quite nice. The good news is I've got Oranguru for a tiny bit of extra consistency. The bad news is that actually, although I've got my Granbull, and to be fair, I can empty out my hand right now, I don't have any real good way of getting that Oranguru out the active as it stands. And that's what I'm going to need. I'm going to need to get my Oranguru out the active and then start attacking with Granbull. In theory, this shouldn't be a particularly bad matchup for me, because what we're doing is basically trading KOs. There's a Sycamore. I get a KO, they get a KO, I get a KO, they get a KO. A lot of the time it comes down to either who can keep up the KOs or who gets the first KO. So here, they went first, the onus is on them. If they've got the energy and a way to get Duskull out the active, they will get the first KO, which is upsetting. But it's not the end of the world, because in theory they need their special energy and all that. In theory, it should be harder for them to keep up the KOs. But then again, they don't need to empty out their hand like I do, and they've got Bunnelby that's a basic, so... Now, they do play Rose Tower. Let's either of us draw till we got 3 cards in our hand, so I can use that for a little bit of a consistency boost with my terrible hand. Oh, and I want them to bench the Dedenne. I really want them to bench the Dedenne, because I can gust up the Dedenne and KO it for 2 prizes. I'm not playing a 2-prize Pokemon. I'm not playing stuff like Dedenne. I probably should be playing 1, to be fair, but I'm not. There is that Bunnelby I mentioned. And so, in theory here, if they do bench the Dedenne, that's 2 prizes. Oh, they've attached to the Bunnelby. That's Rose Tower to draw a card. There goes the Great Ball. And they've got 10 Mad Partiers in the discard. They're hitting 200. So, yeah, they're clearly going for a Bunnelby thing. Alrighty then. So they've actually discarded the Bunnelby, they've benched the Dedenne, and this is awesome. Now, there's a bit of a lack of awareness on my... Oh, there's the escape board for the Duskull, so that's going to be the KO. There is a slight lack of awareness on my opponent's side here, because they can see I'm playing a Granbull deck. They should know that 200 damage is easily enough to get a KO. They don't need to keep binning those Bunnelby, and they're gonna need attackers moving forward in the game. So until I show them something which suggests they need to do more than 130 damage, I don't think it's prudent to keep discarding the Bunnelby. But they do get the KO there, and unless I top deck something terrible, which I do, but I don't need it. You see, Snubbull lets you discard 2 item cards and do 20 damage for each item card discarded. So what I can actually do here is just literally discard those 2 item cards in my hand and do 40 damage with Snubbull. So for as long as my opponent is attacking with Bunnelby, I'm actually feeling pretty good. I don't need to worry about Granbull, so I don't need to empty my hand, so I'm golden. Now, there was an argument to keep the Great Catcher to take out the Dedenne, but remember, I'm playing that card I just drew, Diantha, so I can use Diantha to reuse that Great Catcher, so it's really not a huge problem. My opponent does now get the Poltegeist up. They've got the double colourless energy on. There's the KO on Snubbull, and now I do have to use my Granbull, but I've got Diantha in hand. So essentially, all I'm going to do here... Oh, I do like Wondrous Labyrinth Prism Star. That could really hurt my opponent. Now, there's a reason I didn't use Rose Tower, because what I essentially do here is I use Snubbull and an energy, and then I've basically got everything that I need, and now my opponent has to have a stadium. If my opponent doesn't have a stadium, they've got to have a Poltegeist with a triple acceleration energy. Double colourless or twin energy will no longer do. They've got to have a triple acceleration. So I'm now... Okay, or that. But then again, that's not the end of the world, because now they've benched Rose Tower. I just need an energy on my Snubbull to keep up the KO. Well, it depends on whether they go for Poltegeist or Bunnelby. Bunnelby, I can use Snubbull. Oh, and there's another Dedenne. So now I'm thinking potentially, if I can get my gusting, and it's not as easy because I'm using stuff like Great Catcher and Custom Catcher, but if I can get my gusting rolling, and I can just keep up attacking, I can win the prize trade here. And to be fair, I only need to take out 1 Dedenne to win the prize trade, but there's an outside chance I can actually win the game in 2 turns from here. Now, my opponent, they must have had no energy. They clearly had no energy. They played a supporter, and then they scooped straight away. So they actually ran out of attackers, and I did say that getting rid of that Bunnelby could end up not being the best play, and it seems like they just ran out of attackers. So against stuff like not much anymore, is it? Against Mad Party, I feel like this deck can hold its own. Blacephalon, I again would feel pretty good about it. But what about those giant decks? The ones with huge HP? That's what I'm more worried about. They're the decks that I think could hurt me. And to be fair, this ain't a great start. Starting with my 1 Mew rather than one of my 5 essentially Snubble, not great. I can use Pokemon Communication to get myself a Snubble. And I do have an energy ready to go. Annoyingly, that Heatran's got 190, and with stuff like Silver Bangle gone away, or Choice Band as it became, Choice Band would get a one-hit KO here and I'd be loving it, but I don't have that. So I'm only hitting 160. Being able to get a one-hit KO on that thing would be amazing, but the reality is I'm not going to be getting a one-hit KO on that thing, and that's actually really kind of annoying. Never mind. Hopefully I'll still be able to bring it up. Okay, so we are against the Centiskorch, so this is going to be a test of how Granbull stands up against these bigger kind of decks. Because the thing is, Centiskorch VMAX has 320, so in theory I'm 2-hit KOing for 3 prizes, well they're 1-hit KOing for 1. But the second they use a Heat Fire Energy to go up to 340 HP, or the second they do even the smallest piece of healing, all of a sudden I'm in a lot more trouble than I was before. So this is not an ideal situation here. So, there comes the Professor's Research, gets rid of the boss's orders. And they get a new hand of 7 cards. I haven't got any energy on the board yet, and using Professor's Research does mean that they whiff the Welder, so maybe I can still do this. I mean, to be honest with you, the prize race I can win. 2-hit KO on the Heatran, 2-hit KO on a Centiskorch VMAX, 1-hit KO on one of the smaller Pokemon. That would lead me to victory, but there's a Heat Fire Energy. Now, I do play Faber, but it's about getting the Faber and reusing it, and it becomes super awkward. So I have to use Switch before playing Marnie. Now I'm looking for Granbull and a hand I can play out. I can play out that hand, but if I get a Granbull from the Great Ball, I can at least attack this turn. Okay. The problem is this is not the ideal hand you're looking for. Because I don't have another Snubble waiting. That's not going to do anything. Oh no, that's a lie. That will protect me from Heatran. That Fairy Charm ability will actually protect me from Heatran, so that's kind of cool. So maybe they can get stuck in the active, but this is how Granbull goes wrong. I don't have an Oranguru out. I don't have a Makago out. I've got to have... Okay, there's the switch. That's not good. I have a 0-card hand, but I don't have a backup attacker rolling, and there was a strong argument there that I should have just left Granbull on the bench and let my opponent take a KO on the Mew. But then, it's not like I was getting rid of amazing cards. After I played the Marnie, I didn't exactly have a bunch of really good cards that I just went and dropped. Unfortunately, Granbull seems to have let me down. But my point in showing you this game is not just that Granbull let me down. What am I supposed to do here? 3-hit KOing for 3 prizes is not how Granbull wins. And I'm kind of thinking here that Granbull, in the age where you could 1-hit KO some of the support Pokemon and single prize Pokemon, while 2-hit KOing GXs, and to be honest, you would 2-hit KO all the tag teams, and you would 1-hit KO ADP, which is pretty huge. Arceus, Nalgrim, Palkia. At that stage, I'm feeling like Granbull's a pretty good deck. But I'm not sure that's the format we're in at the moment. 2-hit KOing tag teams, 1-hit KOing ADP, getting to Dene and all of that for 1 prize. But now, of course, Crobat exists, and you're not 1-hit KOing Crobat just to Dene. And we don't have stuff like Choice Band to get a one-hit KO on Heatran. And I just don't think we're there anymore. If I can two-hit KO tag teams, use Choice Band to one-hit KO a bunch of basic GXs, trade with single prize decks, then Granbull comes out as a really powerful Pokemon. But when I'm two-hit KOing Pokemon Vs and three-hit KOing V Maxes, oh, and there's a heads on Turbo Patch just to rub salt in the wound, I'm clearly losing this game. Then at that stage, I don't think Granbull stands up anymore. And I'm going to let you into a little bit of a secret here. These are not the only two games I played with Granbull. We just had a game that shows what Granbull can do, and I think this game perfectly encapsulates why Granbull's a bad play right now. Even if I was drawing perfectly, and I'm not, but even if I was drawing perfectly, this would not be going well at all. Now, to be fair, my opponent does... Okay, I was going to say they need the V Max, but there we go. Because actually, a big attack on the V is 4 energy, but that Wondrous Labyrinth puts it up to 5. So I'm not winning this game, and frankly, ladies and gentlemen, Granbull's time has passed. I'm sorry, it's true. It's not good anymore, and that makes me sad. So comment, like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassy, check out patreon.com/PTCGRadio. You know the deal. Don't play Granbull. Look after yourselves till next time. My name's Ross, and you've been watching... Oh yeah, Wondrous Labyrinth, stop me attacking with Mew. You've been watching PTCG Radio. Don't play Granbull.